with it, B. But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the 2019 NFL Coaching Carousel here on the Louie T Network. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me as we started out this process with 8 head coaching vacancies. Yes, a quarter of the league looking for new head coaches. 6 vacancies have since been filled. Those teams are the Jets, the Packers, the Cardinals, the Bucks, and the Browns. And now the team we're going to talk about tonight has filled their vacancy as well in the Denver Broncos. I still think that there's a lot fundamentally wrong with this organization, starting at the top with John Elway. And until he starts taking some culpability for the issues in Denver, you're going to run into more problems. But you went a long way in fixing some of the issues in Denver by hiring the guy that you hired in ex-Bears defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. No, not Robert De Niro, all right? Does look like one of the good fellas, but this is Vic Fangio, and he's got quite the resume for a guy that has never been a head coach in this league, and he's 60 years old. Generally, you don't get hired this late in the game for the first time. Normally, you get hired as a 60-year-old coach. You've been a coach before in the league. This is probably your second or third go-round as a head coach. This is his first opportunity, and that's what prompted me to name this video, "It's Been a Long Time Coming." It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. And for the Broncos, change could be coming in a major way. And the reason why this is a smart hire for the Denver Broncos is because you don't have a franchise quarterback. Unlike the Cleveland Browns, who were looking for an offensive-minded guy, and they found one. Unlike the Green Bay Packers, who have Aaron Rodgers, ultimately, or arguably, for me, it's ultimately the best quarterback these eyes have ever seen, but probably the best quarterback of this generation from a talent standpoint. They wanted to marry him with an offensive mind. They did. You look at the Jets. They wanted to marry their young quarterback with an offensive mind. They did. You look at the Arizona Cardinals and their vacancy. They wanted to marry their young quarterback with an offensive mind, and they did. So you see the trend in the league. The Rams did it with Mitchell Trubisky. The Eagles did it with Doug Peterson. The Bears did it with Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky. That's the new trend in this league. You got a young quarterback, marry him with a bright offensive mind. Then you look at a team like Buffalo, for instance, that didn't have a franchise quarterback at the time of the hiring of their head coach. So what did? They went defense. Hey, if we don't have the guy on offense that we love yet, at least we can try to win games by playing smash mouth defense. Same principles apply here in Denver. We don't necessarily have the guy that we think is the franchise quarterback on offense yet. So right now we're not concerned with the offense, and we probably won't win games outscoring teams 38-34 or 35-31. We're probably going to have to stifle teams defensively. What's the best way to do that? One, get talent. Well, the Broncos already have talent. So what's the next thing you have to do? Find a guy to put that talent in the best positions to succeed. Vic Fangio will do exactly that. He's been doing it for years. Whether you're talking about this Bears defense, you heard Khalil Mack pay the ultimate compliment to Vic Fangio, calling him an evil genius and saying that he's not only a great defensive coordinator, but he's also an excellent person off the field. So that tells you that he's a leader of men, and he's a guy that players can relate to. And he knows his shit. And we know Vic Fangio can scheme it up. We saw him do it in Chicago. We've seen him do it in San Francisco. We've seen him do it on numerous occasions. This guy's been a coordinator all over the place, whether you're talking Indianapolis, whether you're talking Houston, whether you're talking San Francisco, whether you're talking in Chicago. The list goes on and on. Carolina, he's been everywhere. Linebacker coach in New Orleans. He's been all over the place. So Vic Fangio knows how to scheme it up. He knows how to coach defense. With this Broncos defense, with those parts there that they have, this is a very intriguing hire, to say the least. I'm just anxious to see what Vic Fangio does with this opportunity and how he goes about trying to reinvent this Broncos defense that we got accustomed to seeing them make plays. But this past year, while they were good, they were suspect in some areas, mainly stopping the run. I'm anxious to see how Vic Fangio recreates this Broncos defense and gets them back on the track of the dominant defense that we saw once upon a time in that run with Peyton Manning from 2013 to about 2015. I want to see that Broncos defense again, and we'll see if Vic Fangio can recreate that in Denver as the new head man. Anxious to see how he fills out his staff. There's word on the street that Gary Kubiak is going to be his offensive coordinator. If that is in fact the case, that is a great new sign for Broncos fans and really a great lift to this Broncos offense that has been anemic at times. There's enough talent in Denver to rectify what they have going on. Again, there's questions at the quarterback position, but make no mistake about it, the Broncos should have won more than 6 games last year if their head coach had been a better manager of the game and to an extent even a better manager of personnel and situational football. So, you know, the game that comes to mind, obviously, the Texans lost, but this Broncos team had a chance to do something after reeling off some big wins against teams that we didn't think they could beat in the Chargers, in the Steelers. They had an opportunity. They had everything they wanted right in front of them, and they laid an egg out in San Francisco, and the season essentially fell apart after that. So this change was necessary, and it's done. Vic Fangio is the new coach. Again, the pros are this guy comes in and this guy has a wealth of knowledge on the defensive side of the football. This guy is one of the best in the league at scheming it up defensively. Schematically, you won't find many better on the defensive side of the football than Vic Fangio. People seem to gravitate towards Vic Fangio. I haven't heard one defensive player speak a negative word of Vic Fangio, and so I think there's a little bit of a person aspect there that I think is going to allow him to be a great leader of men. The cons, however, what took him so long to get an opportunity to be a head coach? This isn't the first time he's interviewed for a job. Why hasn't Vic Fangio gotten an opportunity to be a head man before now? And another thing, he's never been a head man. It's one thing to be a coordinator and have a small group of guys that you're in charge of. It's totally different to have the entire roster at your beck and call and having more duties than just making sure that you figure out a way to stop the opposition on 3rd and long or figure out a way to make an adjustment to them running read option or running RPOs. Now you got to figure out when to challenge, when to use your timeouts. You got to figure out how to do roster management, how to stroke this guy's ego while not pissing off this guy, but also knowing how to get through to this guy, and all the while keeping the team on one accord and having one message. There's a lot that goes into being a head coach. We'll see if Fangio can handle this. He's never been that guy, but he's been under some influential coaches throughout his career, whether you're talking a number of different guys throughout his career. So I'm anxious to see what Vic Fangio does with this opportunity in Denver. It's been a long time coming. It's finally here, and I'm anxious to see what Vic Fangio brings to the table for this Denver Broncos football team. One thing I can be certain of, they're going to be strong defensively. I can assure you of that. Now, what will the Broncos do offensively to complement this defense that's about to be back in the top 5 legitimately? I really think that Vic Fangio is going to take this defense and put them back into that elite conversation. And now the question is, can Kubiak, if he is in fact the offensive coordinator, can get this offense to some semblance of respectability and have this Broncos team be a competitor in the all of a sudden very competitive AFC West division? We will see, but I love the hire here. There is no young quarterback that you're looking to marry with a bright young offensive mind. So you go and get a grizzled veteran defensive coordinator to be your new head coach with a defense that to me is ready to be coached up, schemed up, and put into positions to be an elite defense. And Vic Fangio is definitely the man for that job. I'm your man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not the best NFL coverage it could be. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I've got the entire NFL on lock, whether it's the playoffs, the draft, you name it. Your man Louie T's got you covered. So subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. And check out the podcast, as you see at the bottom of the screen, Louie T Network podcast on various platforms, Google Music Play, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, you name it, it's there. Check out the Louie T Network podcast. I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.